are going to do a short discussion on the Alpha Mind. Dr. Eugene Botha is going to answer some questions. Today we're specifically discussing the Living Consciousness Alpha Mind workshop that we're running, and just to bring some more clarity or information on what the course is about. Hello.
Hello.
How would you explain or describe the Alpha Mind?
So the Alpha Mind, or mind as such, has got many different facets. The Alpha Mind is one of the frequencies that allows us to use a more expansive sort of view or experience of our brain, essentially enhancing things like our intuitive aspects of thinking, our intuitive aspects of reaching deeper within ourselves. It is a very powerful kind of concept or connection to literally just using all the entanglements of the brain in all its different facets. The Alpha Mind is also sort of described as an alpha frequency, or it's measured as an alpha frequency. This is essentially described as a state of meditation, or being in a meditative state. In that state of frequency, the mind is actually very clear and very kind of focused and undistracted. There's a concept of being in the zone with that, where you then are very aware of all the different factors of things that you need to interact with.
Okay. And in the Living Consciousness Alpha Fundamentals course that you run, specifically focusing on Alpha Fundamentals, or the fundamentals of Alpha, you teach certain tools and techniques that people can use. What do you find is of most benefit to having all those tools or techniques?
Firstly, I just want to speak about the Alpha work. The Alpha work was originally introduced, if I could speak under correction here, but originally introduced by a man called Jose Silva. And he was involved with a lot of work and research around using the Alpha. The things they discovered in relation to the benefits to mankind of the different tools of being able to access your deeper thoughts, your deeper consciousness, utilizing kind of like your having access to your higher self through these, brought a lot of benefits to people to be able to like resolve relationships, or to plan, or to sort of engage in, maybe you're an inventor or something like that, and engage in design, creativity. So the Alpha work has got a vast span, working with tools that can actually help your health, it can help your personal development, it can help you work through sort of deep, sort of emotional, traumatic experiences. It's also very good in relation to things like performance, sports performance, things for study, helping you to memorize and to store memory and access information much better. So the techniques actually help you in these different facets. So one would, for instance, utilize tools that are specific around the sport, and then in your mind it will be like a visualization process. The tools help you to hold your space in the Alpha Mind, and then create that visual experience where you'll actually be experiencing in the mental state, in that mind state, your kind of cycling or your sporting. And what you can actually work with there is to check yourself on how you're performing, and identify different areas where improvement could come through, or where there might be influences that are affecting you. There could be like a set of exercises you might be working with, and then in the Alpha you can actually check yourself in relation to performance on how to do these exercises. So you might have a sequence of exercises that you can, through the Alpha Mind, sort of shuffle around, and then you could actually you'll be able to see how your performance rating actually goes in relation to how the different sporting things, the exercises go. From a study perspective as well, there are tools that you can create, there are ways that you can actually store this information. So in the Alpha work we teach you different tools to store information, where you then go inward, we call it going inward or going zone or into the alpha mind, and then utilizing the various tools to reference and to bring out information. Things like health perspective as well. So what they found with the alpha work is that working with these tools of visualizing or seeing yourself better, or seeing what we would sort of term as guides or different kind of influences working on you, it actually influences the outcome of how you actually can heal. So it's not necessarily a cure thing, but it will actually enhance your ability to heal or respond to treatments. So there's many different layers that we can work with. In the fundamentals course, we teach fundamental techniques. Not to be overwhelming, because the work is a bit strange for many people, and we want to introduce it in a way where you get some basic tools that you can go and work with, and then in our mini workshops and in our next module we'll be working with more advanced ways of actually working with the alpha mind, and that will kind of the second part will actually kind of require you to be a bit more familiar with that, so that you're not so strange with all the experiences that actually come with that.
And essentially in the course we talk about integrating the different hemispheres of the brain. Just explain how the combination or the integration of right and left hemisphere of the brain is worked with in the course.
Well, essentially it's a reference we work with that's kind of understood as the left brain and the right brain, where your right brain is all about your intuitive aspects, your creative aspects, and the left brain is very much around your structures and your ability to kind of like form processes and put them together from the creative side. When these two interface with each other, you essentially have intuition or zoning, which then helps all those faculties to kind of collaborate in basically what they would term a masculine and feminine relationship. So the alpha work, as you go into the alpha mind, this left and right hemisphere and the feminine, masculine, or right and left brain functions actually start interfacing much more powerfully. What they found with doing a lot of alpha work is actually that it improves our ability to kind of get into that space much faster, which then as you do it more often, you start naturally being able to move in and out of the alpha consciousness and live your life in relation to bringing kind of like the internal world, external world, if you want to call it, together, and then being able to benefit from all of that. This has got huge implications in our ability to kind of also like reduces stress, improves your focus, keeps your mind on track, helps you to be able to really pick up information around you, so it sharpens up your senses, sharpens up everything that you are experiencing. And then through that process, it just enhances your life. So it just brings a lot of benefit to many different facets.
In terms of the masculine, feminine aspect that you mentioned with the integration of the different concepts and interfaces of the brain, just touching on a brief example of relationships, how would a course like this or a workshop like this help to strengthen or integrate relationships on a healthier level?
Right, so you could use the alpha work from that perspective, specifically around relationships. So a very powerful thing for us in life is our ability to more smoothly be able to work with the masculine feminine relationship. There's a very big complement in relation to how the masculine and feminine work together. In the course, this course doesn't specifically cover the masculine and feminine work. However, we do work with your feminine aspects and your masculine aspects. So whether you're male or female, we both have feminine aspects and masculine aspects that influence our lives. These tie into perceptions of ourselves, kind of like suppressed images of what we actually are, which are then kind of we build images on top of ourselves. And by becoming more connected to our masculine and our feminine, it starts to change the way we interact with the masculine and feminine on the outside. This will be in relationships, how we can support each other as men and women, but also how we can respect the different views and the different ways that kind of like we complement each other in relation to functioning, making things happen, manifestation, creativity. The different challenges of personal growth are involved with that. So a lot of interpersonal and relationship things is, really influences personal growth quite a bit. The alpha work from this perspective can help you resolve conflict in relationships and improve, in a sense, things with a partner, or like it could be a personal relationship partner, work partner, friendships, and then just improve the dynamics in relation to how we function. So the world today has got a lot of conflict and all sorts of contradictory things around this, and there's a lot of places where things are just drifting apart from that masculine feminine perspective. So the alpha helps us quite a bit to integrate that a bit more.
Okay. And then in regards to what you mentioned about the course being very much a self-growth workshop or focus, how we term the course an opportunity to access or to understand or to reach your full potential. Just explain a little bit about that in terms of the self-growth and reaching different levels of potential and understanding your personal potential. How would the course complement that aspect? Because a lot of people in the society, or just in general, really struggle to understand what their potential is, or more so they've got the dreams, they've got the aspirations, but how to actually access that and bring it into their lives and reality, in a sense.
So self-growth or personal growth is essentially an inevitable thing happening to us. So there's a kind of like, as you go through life, you almost don't have a choice around it, because you're not 6 years old anymore, and that changes to 7 to 8 to 9. And as you're growing, you are interacting with the world in different ways. And there's a constant learning process that actually takes place with that. Working with the alpha and the personal growth side of things helps us to be able to kind of like access those aha moments that bring those profound changes, where through certain experiences and tools that we use in the alpha, we can work with sort of manifestation tools, blockage tools, tools that are sort of obstacles in life and things like that. And the alpha the alpha work helps to reveal some of these things which you would never have actually been able to see, because the belief systems that we're functioning from, or the mindset that we're functioning from, is kind of not going into those deeper aspects. And by working with the alpha tools, again, you're actually coming out of that full mental work, which is just tied up in a little circle that works in a certain level of our consciousness, and then getting into the different levels of the different energy bodies that we are made up of. Profound changes in the world and in life and in health and in relationships, don't come from only physical interactions. They actually come from the deep aha moments. And the alpha work is one of the tools that there's tools in there, many different tools that can actually be worked with, which can reveal these ahas. The aha meaning a realization as, oh, I interpreted this as being that, and it's actually that. And changing your understanding around an experience, say from a childhood, a relationship, or an accident or something like that. And then you have a different perspective on it. So it doesn't hold the active memories, the blockages of belief systems, the victim consciousness, the kind of like things we set up as protections or avoidances to actually go there. The mind is essentially, especially the ego mind side of things, loves its habits, and it creates habits, in accordance to what, the ego mind essentially is like a functional habit-forming belief system function, and it creates functions based on where you're at that time, to protect you, to create rhythms, to create patterns. And sometimes these patterns become rigid. Personal growth is all about being kind of elastic and pliable and able to change as things go along. And everyone notices that life changes as you go along. It doesn't stay exactly the same all the time, And our victim consciousness will drive us into patterning and trying to pattern control mechanisms to keep our old patterns. These old patterns are actually become very unhealthy because they lead to relationship problems, they lead to impacting our ability to manifest, they lead to health problems. So personal growth, or the consciousness growth, or the growth of consciousness and becoming aware and awake to the things that we are actually experiencing, which is our authentic truth, is a vital thing. Personal growth essentially is there all the time. It's kind of not even a thing that we kind of have a choice about. So the tools help you to more smoothly actually deal with these things, because they can be very uncomfortable. Change is always uncomfortable, you know. Everybody wants to change, as they say, and then no one really wants to change, but this helps to make it a lot easier. So the tools in this will help with that. The course, let me just speak a little bit about this. The course is not hectically complicated in the sense of, you know, digging out all your worms and all this kind of stuff. It's not about that. So in the Alpha Fundamentals, I'm focusing very much on gentle techniques that you could bring into your life. And then as we go more advanced, we can actually start putting a bit of deeper focus on things which can move things a bit faster. But it's not about you know, creating a traumatic weekend for you. It's very gentle. It's actually a very fun course. So I also want to bring a bit of, it is a fun aspect. Personal growth is not supposed to be misery. It's actually quite a fun aspect, discovering and realizing your truth and discovering yourself and realizing how you function, the effect of you on the world. And in our belief system course, I'll be talking about sort of like the fundamental patterns and how they form from childhood time. I'll be going through the different childhood phases with that. And that can then also be added into your alpha work, because then you'll be able to kind of look into things a bit differently and a bit deeper from those perspectives.
And in regards to people, anyone can work with these techniques. You don't need a prerequisite to do the workshop. So for you'll always have a variety of people who have different levels of consciousness naturally. So like the empaths, the more psychic realm of working with things. How would a course like this help to support them in developing their skills and helping them just not necessarily fit in, but just understand their position in life a bit easier?
Yeah, so the Alpha Fundamentals techniques, they're not essentially focused on a certain level of consciousness. The levels of consciousness are also different perspectives of life, different ways of experiencing life. So yes, you get your empaths and your A-types and you get all of that. The work we do actually benefits everybody in their different ways of working with things. We all have intuition. We all have access to this. So this will help you know, the very left-brained person to actually be able to come into a space where they're actually kind of like able to see where their ideas come from, but also then to be able to, you know, voluntarily go and access that instead of trying to kind of like work it through the A-types. This could also help them to kind of just slow themselves down for a moment, to kind of be able to see where they're going and to awaken that side of themselves. In a sense, you know, when we look at the differences between sort of empaths and the others in relation to A-types, everyone's uncomfortable in the world, because A-types are uncomfortable around empaths, and empaths are uncomfortable around A-types because they just function differently. And this is also a type of masculine, feminine realm of things. The alpha work helps empaths get more in touch with, you know, to realize their sensitivities to the world. A-types to realize how they form structures and manifest and move through the world in you know, incredible speeds and things like that. So yeah, so it benefits, doesn't matter what level of consciousness you had, the alpha work is in us. The idea of the Alpha Fundamentals course is, it actually came from, you know, I kind of like wanted to work with this and teach more of my clients how to work with these things, because, you know, everyone can benefit from the health, from all the different things that they're actually working with. So it doesn't matter what level of consciousness, you know, if you want to talk about it from a levels perspective you're at, the alpha work will help you get in touch to, with yourself as to where you're at, and help you definitely function and integrate better into your life and understand your experiences, with more depth and more clarity.
And do you use the alpha techniques?
Yeah, so alpha, that's why the courses are called Living Consciousness. So the alpha is something I live every single day, so I'm working in that space all the time. And this is what I'd like to help people do, is to be able to move, through the different facets of how we work with our brain and enhancing it. Obviously I've not fully mastered all of that, so you have to keep working with it all the time, and each time you work with it, it expands and expands and becomes more and more clear and becomes stronger and stronger. And I work with it in my work. My work requires that kind of intuitive processing, and I work with it with everything. I've worked with it from my martial arts background, where I was working with developing techniques, looking at performance sides of things. I've worked with it in development of courses, in a sense of accessing the information that I need, and then being able to access kind of where to resource information and then bring that to the table. In my work itself, the alpha work is very important because of the vast amounts of things we need to be able to access from different facets in relation to helping the clients. So very, very much so. Every single day, all the time, I'm working with that.
And in the sense of the different age groups, if you can just touch on the benefits of, say, for example, an early teen into 20s, 30s, 40s. Obviously, they each have their own generational influences, but what benefit would this course have for all the mixed different age groups as an entirety of benefit?
In essence, we would suggest, from an age perspective, the developmental perspective, to start to introduce this work from about age 12, sort of 12ish. And you know how wonderful it would be that you're not 45 and then getting this, rather be 12, 16, 17, and then getting access to this tool. This can actually just change people's lives, and it will just enhance how kids are actually developing, functioning, being able to see the world, accessing themselves. And we are developing a course at the moment for the kids. We're actually developing that. So we will soon be introducing one of those where we will be working with the children. It's from a developmental perspective, if we can enhance the ability that children use their minds, why not keep their minds more open? There's a lot of structured sort of schooling that happens these days, which in a sense can be very counterproductive, creating a lot of rigid belief, rigid perception of the world, rigid sort of activities. The other benefit to children, very much so, is from the perspective of the virtual world. So your alpha mind is it's a reality, but it's like a virtual world. So rather than having kids sitting in front of video games and things like that, if they start working with this, they'll never need a video game. I bought myself a PlayStation 2, and I think I played for like 6 months, and it was, the games are just so boring compared to what we actually can work with in the alpha work. So there's an entire other world here which we all have in us, we all have available to us. It's not something that some special people have. It's actually a birthright. We have a birthright to these frequencies and being able to use them and access them. So I would definitely advise, for developmental side of things, children will definitely benefit, improve their ability to learn, reduce stress, to perform, to develop in their different phases of their lives. So if we can get them into using the alpha, there will definitely be big changes for them, and a definite advantage over not using it.
And just as a course summary per se, if somebody had to say to you, why do I need to do this course? As a broad spectrum, what do you feel would be the most benefit of doing a course like this?
Well, again, just from the things that we've been speaking about, You know, you'll benefit all the way from kind of like where you're at in your life and being able to see what's going on around you. So it will give you an advantage and an ability to access that. It will help you with tools to be able to plan where you want to go, to set your goals and to kind of go through the different steps in your internal mind's eye side, and then be able to see sort of pitfalls that could come, challenges that could come through. And in fact, from the experienced people that speak about these things, it helps you to just see how a meeting will turn out. And then it will almost prepare you to be able to be on top of those things. When it comes to things like your work side, if you're going to go for an interview, you could have an interview prior to going to the interview. There's a tool we use for that.
In the Alpha.
In the Alpha, and then you will know what's going to actually happen there. So, as you get more experience, it gets incredibly clear. From a health perspective, so you can work with it from your health side of things. Maybe you've got goals around weight loss, maybe you've got goals around fitness, maybe you've got goals around sort of actual symptoms that you have, challenges that you might have, and the Alpha work can help you with healing techniques that we use in the system to be able to delve into working with all different factors that may be involved. So it gives you another angle to actually come from. So you have your physical angle, your mental emotional angle. This will help from another angle as well. Just the benefits are far reaching. So the tools that we give, as I said, are the basics, and as people start to work with them, then it's kind of like you're free to apply it anywhere in your life. Obviously the course is created in such a way to not cause harm, so we've got a way to actually work with that. So it is a safe way of working with things, so it's not an unsafe thing. In fact, the whole thing just shuts down when you start doing funny things. So there's nothing to be afraid of in the work. And like I said as well, it's not a rip your cans of worms out and kind of leave you with them for the weekend kind of thing. So it's fun, it's creative, it's a real life adventure, and it seems to be changing people's lives, just giving them kind of like a completely different thing to experience. So really, really beneficial, and for everybody. So whether you're a businessman and you want to actually have more focus, more strategy, more ability to analyze what you're working with, or if you're a sportsman and you want to work on your performance, or if you're a housewife or a mother and you want to work better with your family and your kids, you can work with the relationships, you can work with the way to work with your children. Whether you're a healthcare practitioner, this can enhance your ability to kind of like go through the different facets of things that you want to work with. So across the board, it will benefit everybody.
Okay, cool. Well, I think that's covered the majority of what the Alpha Fundamentals Living Consciousness course will be about. We're going to do a few more interviews like this on the different courses that we're offering. So keep a close eye on what is to come, and thank you for your time. Thank you.